I'm really good at coming in at the last minute, swooping in at the last minute and saving the day. I'm good at that. I like being the person that people can depend on, right? My best friend, she calls it the curse of competence. That's me. I had the curse of competence. And, you know, as a result, I used to be an overcommitter, right? Clients, they learn to depend on me at the last minute. They call me up late at night. Oh my God, Christina, I need this thing. We're running this campaign tomorrow and we forgot the landing page and we don't have the ad up, and what about the blog and the press? And I go, oh, no problem. That's what I do. Let me swoop in and save the day, because that's what I do. Does anybody else, can you kind of relate to that maybe? Anyone else in here? Yeah? I used to be an overcommitter. Sometimes I would stay up really late pulling out all-nighters, right? I'd have migraines. I'd be underslept. I'd be overworked. And just to have that feeling of saving the day for my own needs, right? And of course, it totally wreaked havoc in my life. You know, my hands would be numb. I started to develop the beginnings of carpal tunnel. I would be sitting there in front of my machine, tears down my eyes and still working, because I got to get this done. It's super important. They're depending on me, and I'm very important. I'm going to save the day, right? And I don't know, it's not always a good thing. You know, I have this collaborator, my friend Tori. We used to co-work together, and I went into her house and I did my usual thing. I walk in, set down my backpack, go into her kitchen. I start setting up my laptop. Unplugging and getting ready. We're going to co-work. It's going to be a big co-working day. Okay, I got it. And she goes, just a second, just hold on. Why don't we just come sit in the living room? And I'm, oh, okay, sure. So I pack up my laptop and I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to work in the living room today. She said, no, leave your stuff there. And I was like, wait a minute, what? We work. That's what we do. What are we talking about? Living room? I'm not sure what's happening here, right? No, come on, sit down next to me. Sit down. Would you like some tea? Okay, give me the tea. Like, what's the point? What are we doing here? Can we get to work? Sit down. So I walked into her living room, left my laptop, left everything set on the table. I kind of decided, all right, well, we're not going to get any work done today. Okay. She hands me my tea. She pours some tea for herself. I sit down and she looks at me and she says, now what are we going to do about your hands? And I looked at her and I said, what do you mean my hands? She said, well, your hands, you're starting to get carpal tunnel. This is a problem. Oh, no, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm the entrepreninja. Don't you know? You got to be stronger than the pain. My passion is stronger than the pain. I'm an entrepreneur. We're going to push through this. We do whatever it takes, right? And she's like, well, nobody's asking you to sacrifice your beautiful hands for them, to come in because they didn't plan, to come in and swoop in at the last minute and save the day, to overwork your hands because of their lack of planning. Nobody's asking you to do that. So what are we going to do about your hands? And I looked at her and I said, what do you mean? I'm just going to keep working. So you're just going to keep working until you can't use your hands anymore? And I was like, but I'm an entrepreneur. We push through the pain, my passion. And my friend Tori looked me right in the eye and she said, well, if you think your hands aren't important, then we'll go down to the Veterans Hospital next week. And you go talk to those soldiers with no hands. And you tell them that your hands are not important. And that was my wake-up call. that was the day that I learned I had to make some changes in my life. That overcommitting wasn't going to work for me anymore. That people-pleasing wasn't going to work for me anymore. That sacrificing my one pair of beautiful hands for other people because they weren't prepared just to make myself feel good, that was no longer going to be an option for me. And I was going to have to learn how to say no. I mean, when I came down to it, I just realized that I was more concerned with pleasing people that I couldn't say no. So I used to have a major problem saying no. And I think that maybe some of you in here, by how you nodded, who in here has a hard time saying no? Yeah. I think this is a common issue also in our industry, right? Our industry rewards people who get it done, people who are at the last minute. We have hackathons, right? We're just going to go for 72 hours and create. I've done lock-ins with my friends. I've gone to beautiful places and put my body in the Bahamas for a week just to do a sprint web launch. And my mom was like, wait a minute, aren't you in the Bahamas? How about you leave your hotel room and go explore and have some fun? No, I'm getting things done. I'm very important over here. My name is Christina Aldan. I am a speaker, trainer, and digital advertising consultant. I'm co-founder of the Fierce Women Project. And I've been an overcommitter for most of my life. So I know what it's like to have the anxiety of not being able to say no. And I'm here to tell you that if you don't figure that out, that it's going to lead to burnout, it's going to lead to sickness, it's going to lead to the loss of your hands. Today I'm going to share with you the strategies that I've learned to learn how to say no without being a jerk. Because, you know, I'm a nice person and I don't like to be a jerk. If anybody wants to follow me, I'm Lucky Girly Girl everywhere on the interwebs, and we're using the hashtag LuckyNo today if you want to continue this conversation on Twitter or Instagram. I want to say thanks so much to Voxxed Thessaloniki and to all of our sponsors today. We are going to go over a few different things. Here are our objectives. I want everybody at the end of this session to master the art of the unapologetic no. We all deserve that. And I hope that even some of these strategies are going to be useful for you if you start practicing them, that you can maybe get different results in your life as well. Maybe save your hands, save yourself from sickness, save yourself from burnout. So, you know, what are the reasons why we resist saying no? Why do we resist saying no? Many of us, you know, we do this way too much. And we're resisting it. Maybe we don't want to miss out on a sale. Okay. I really need that money. I got to get that contract, right? Maybe we want people to like us. I'm a people pleaser. I want people to like us. I like the harmony. Can't we all just get along, right? Yeah. There are a lot of reasons why we resist saying no, and unless we understand our why we're resisting and we understand that resistance, we can't identify the problem. Sometimes we think that we have to take on every single project. I see this with freelancers. I see this with consultants that I mentor. I see this with my startups. They think that they have to take on every single project, even if it's not a good fit. It might not be a good values fit. It might not be a good expectations fit. It might not be a good financial fit. But we still take that project on. Maybe we resist saying no because we just want to help. I want to be helpful, right? And that's great to be sincerely, genuinely helpful. However, if you're doing it at the detriment of your own well-being, now that's a problem. And if you do that consistently, it can lead to bad habits. It can lead to bad results in your life. Another reason why we resist saying no is that, hey man, we're just having fun, right? But guess what? Even the fun things take energy. You gotta sleep, you gotta eat. You got to take care of yourself. Sometimes we resist saying no because we're afraid of being rude. I don't want to be a jerk, right? We want to avoid conflict. Sometimes it might just be cultural. It could be a culture in the company, right? And so the company is fostering this. We see this sometimes, and I have been guilty of this. Sometimes we want people to stay over the weekend. We want people to stay past the closing time. We reward that behavior. If you're doing this at your company, I have to say, stop doing that, because you're going to burn through some of your best developers and programmers. They're going to leave, and their work is going to suffer. You know, mostly, we resist saying no just because we don't want to be a jerk, right? We don't want that conflict. And some people, they take no as an insult. We don't want to deal with the peer pressure. People go, oh, come on. Oh, all right, I'll do it, right? But really, here's the thing. At the end of the day, if we're resisting, it comes down to some kind of a fear within us. That's the truth. We're resisting saying no because we're afraid of something. And we need to look at those fears and really examine them to see why, and use that as a lever for change so we can shift our results, so we can lead our best lives, so we can have a happy, healthy work and home life, right? So let's look at these fears. Types of fears that might influence this are fear of abandonment, right? Fear presents itself in lots of different ways. If we can identify it, then we can use that data and we can respond differently. So fear of abandonment sometimes is something that might trigger us. Fear of missing out. Fear of missing out is so big that we have an acronym for it. It's funny because I had to look it up. Somebody used it in a conversation the very first time, and oh yeah, because, you know, I'm not going to go to the party because, or I'm going to go to the party because, you know, otherwise there's FOMO. And I was like, oh, FOMO, I don't know what's FOMO. That's a thing? FOMO, it's a thing. Fear of not being good enough. This one gets me a lot. Fear of not being good enough is a big one for me. Fear of imperfection. Everything's got to look perfect. It's not good enough yet. I'm just going to keep going, keep working it. I can't say no. Fear of not belonging. The fear of change. Fear of judgment. We don't want others to look at us and say, oh, well, she didn't go to the thing. But here, listen. These fears, they're holding us back. They prevent us from leading our best life, our best work. We want and we all deserve to lead a happy life. And you can't do that if you're constantly overcommitting, overextending yourself, and really not living your best, most authentic lifestyle. And so, why is this an important skill to say no? Why is it important for us to say, oh, but Christina, I'm doing just fine, and they reward me at work, and I just got a raise because I get stuff done, and I stay overtime, and I work extra, I put in that extra mile. Yeah, but are you really doing your best work when you've only had a couple hours of sleep? I used to sleep 2 to 3 hours a night. I used to pull an all-nighter every single week. I'd have terrible migraines. I'd be grumpy at meetings. I forget things, right? Can anyone relate to this? Does this sound like your lifestyle? I know, because in our industry, it fosters that kind of behavior and rewards that kind of behavior. And we need to make a change. And it starts with our decisions. Because do you think that the managers are going to make the change for you? No. As long as you're producing, they're going to keep getting as much work out of you as possible as a resource. So how do we do that? And why is it an important skill? It's an important skill to say no because boundaries help manage expectations. When we learn how to say no, when we learn how to manage expectations and tell our clients, hey, you know what? If you want that marketing campaign launched by the 15th, then I'm going to need all your content 2 weeks in advance. None of this last minute by text stuff. Oh my God, what are we going to do? Can you please launch this? Hey, I need an ad. It's just a real quick ad, right? You can do that in your sleep, Christina. Oh yeah, except that I was just sleeping. You should try it sometime. It's not healthy to have boundaries that just they extend and they go on and on and on, and there's no finite end to it, right? It's an important skill to have. The other reason why is that we need to focus on our goals. We're much more efficient when we focus on the goal that we wish to accomplish instead of splitting our time, instead of multitasking, instead of being distracted by a multitude of projects, right? We end up with fractionalized work, mediocre work, and it doesn't look good on us. Here we are sabotaging essentially our results because we want to look good, so we say yes, 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 but then we end up looking bad anyway because our work is crap. So you need to be able to have that focus, to focus on your goals and to focus on your work. So you can produce the best quality work, right? It's an important skill because we have to maintain our vision, to stay connected to our purpose, to our why. You know, maintaining a clear vision of your why is really important. What I was doing when I was overcommitting was I was making it about me. I'm really making it about my needs because of my need to people please and my need to look good and my need to come in at the last minute and save the day with my cape, right? I was making it about my needs instead of the needs of the client. Have you ever heard the phrase, good fences make good neighbors? Good fences make good neighbors, right? Keep your damn horses on your side of the fence. Setting boundaries is important in any relationship, in your personal relationship, in a relationship where you have neighbors, in a relationship that is a professional relationship. If you create good quality relationships by learning how to say no, people will honor those boundaries. They'll respect your fence. They'll keep their horses on their side. And so you won't have to be chasing their horses all around. It's an important skill because of our quality of work, right? Our quality of work, the products, the services that we put out are so much better when we're fully present and we're fully focused on the task at hand. Because, you know, what happens when we say yes all the time? Right? We overcommit. We start cutting out our own personal needs, our own self-care, eating, sleeping, exercise, relaxing, playing. All of these things, they start to fall by the wayside. We get in over our heads. When we say yes all the time, we get sick. I used to schedule, I wish I was joking, I used to schedule 10 days every quarter that I would be sick. I would just put it into my calendar and say, all right, for these 10 days, this is where I'm going to be sick in bed, not doing anything, because that's how far I would run myself ragged. And I would know that every 3 months, I was just going to be dead sick, and I was just going to have to plan to do that. That's kind of ridiculous. When we say yes all the time, you know, we get this to-do list that just never, ever ends, and we feel like we haven't accomplished anything because the work is never finished, right? There's no definite ending, and so it's just always ongoing, and it's very overwhelming when we overcommit. If we say yes all the time, we rush through things. And so people would say, Christina, slow down. And then, no, I have things to do. I'm going. And get out of my way. And I would just bulldoze people through. You know what? Forget. Just, here, I'll do it myself. You say that? Yeah, I used to say that a lot. That's rude. I'm being a jerk. I'm not being helpful at all in that case, right? And so, you know, I would just bulldoze through everybody and then just crash out at the end of the day. Slow down. Slow down. When we say yes all the time, our work is mediocre. We make a lot of mistakes because we're rushing. We flake at the last minute. Oh my gosh, I was the flaker friend because I would say, oh yeah, sure, I'll go to the thing. My friends would get tickets. Oh yeah, I'll go, that'll be great. Are you sure you're coming? Yes, I'm going to be there. It's going to be fun. Remember, even the fun things take energy, right? It's going to be fun. I want to go. It's great. And then at the very last minute, oh, hey girl, sorry. I can't, I'm so busy. No, 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 I'm really, really important, and I have to launch this very important thing at the last minute. They need their website up, and this is... And then I was the flaker friend. Who wants to be the flaker friend? I was just disappointing my friends anyway. When we say yes all the time, we end up getting resentful to the very people that we mean to help, right? So let's talk about some strategies. Here are some things that I used to change my results, and some key phrases as well that I'm going to give you. So get your cameras out so you can take the pictures. But the key strategies that I used is, number one, I blocked out time for myself and I honored it. Because this is what I used to do. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go to the gym every Tuesday from 9 to 11, and then Thursdays. And then somebody would call me up and go, hey, Christina, I need you in this meeting Tuesday at 9. I go, oh, yeah, no problem. Let me erase myself out and write you in. Block time and honor it for yourself. That's important. Take time to hike, to watch live music, whatever it is that lights you up, that feeds your soul. You have to do those nourishing things. Another thing that I did is I paused to ask, am I saying yes because I feel obligated to do this? Or is it because I really do want to do this thing? That's an important question to be honest with yourself about. Ask yourself, am I doing it just because I'm feeling obligated to do it? Another thing that you can ask is, what would it take to make this an emphatic yes? Because sometimes it's nearly a yes, right? Sometimes it's nearly a yes, but it's not like a, yeah, let's go do that. And so ask yourself, what conditions would have to be met for you to change that? So it would be an emphatic yes. Another thing is to practice. And I'm going to give you some tips in a minute here that you can practice over and over again and really get better at learning how to say no without being a jerk. And tell your friends and tell your family that you're practicing to say no, and make a game out of it, because it can be really fun. They'll be more than willing to help you. The other thing is to make a decision and stick to it. Being wishy-washy is unprofessional, and nobody will trust you if you're wishy-washy and you're going back and forth and, oh, I'm not sure about this and maybe that, and no, I'm going to go. Oh, no, I'm not going to go. Yeah. Honor your boundaries, because if you're not going to honor your boundaries, then why should anyone else, right? It's an important thing to understand. Another thing that we can do is we can hack our brain. And I really love this stuff. I speak a lot about emotional intelligence and a lot about ways to manage our mindset to get the best possible results for our performance, from us and from our team as well. So we can hack our brain, and these tiny little tricks help. We can choose passwords. Let's say you log in to Twitter 10 times a day. Okay. 30 times a day, like I've seen you out there already on the conference, you guys. Let's say you log into Twitter a whole bunch of times a day, and you change your password to something like, saying no comes easy to me, right? I enjoy saying no. Hell no, I'm not going to do that. Whatever it is, change your passwords, and it really helps your subconscious, and it helps change your mindset and bring your focus to what your intention is of changing the behavior. So you can hack your brain by changing your passwords. You can also hack your brain by shifting your perspective. Anyone who was in my workshop yesterday, we did this exercise. I do it a lot. I think I may have even done it at Voxxed Days Athens, if anybody was there. You can shift your perspective from first person, second person, third person, and try to understand what it's like to be the other person that you're flaking on. Try to understand what it's like to be in their shoes when you overcommit. Try to understand what it's like when you rush in and you bulldoze over everybody. And you're not being sensitive, and you make mistakes, and other people have to clean them up. If you shift your perspective, it really helps you see where other people are coming from, and helps you be a little more empathetic which then, of course, will inspire you to change your behavior. The other thing that you can do to hack your brain is use NLP and hypnosis. NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. Neuro-linguistic programming is a way to shift your mindset and to get better results from how you present, how you take in information, how you process data. And there was a time in my life where I listened to NLP and hypnosis almost every single day for 3 years. You'll see people who use this for quitting smoking, for losing weight. NLP and hypnosis, if you want to go to Heidi Heron, they have a great website for information for NLP. Any kind of audio books, those are really good. And then you could just listen to them before you sleep or when you wake up, when your mind is still in that relaxed state, before you jump up and jump on Twitter and get your mind going too quickly. But while your subconscious is still in that relaxed state, it's much more susceptible to positive suggestions. So here's the thing to remember about all this. Practice makes perfect. Just going to a 45-minute session about learning how to say no isn't going to magically suddenly change everything, right? We're talking about deep ingrained behaviors that are motivated by our fears. So it's going to take some time. It's going to take some practice. And what we know about the brain, though, is that it has this quality called neuroplasticity. NLP uses this. Hypnosis uses this quality. Neuro-linguistic programming looks at the neuroplasticity of our brain, because if we can stimulate the neural pathway repetitively enough, or if we stimulate it strong enough, then we can change our behaviors. We can create new neural pathways. We can essentially deepen the groove every single time we repeat that positive behavior, and the negative behavior falls away. So, the thing to remember about all of this is that practice makes perfect. And so doing it from multiple approaches is also going to help that neuroplasticity, because it's not about whether you're an auditory learner or a visual learner. It's about how you synthesize the information and store the data in different parts of your brain. So it's important to take a multifaceted approach when you're trying to change any kind of behavior and really solidify it in your mindset. Essentially, you have to have your very own self-directed study. You have to treat it like, it's the most important commitment that you have. And so doing a complete immersion from a multifaceted approach, these are the ways that I was able to stop being an overcommitter. The first thing is read. Read, and when I say read, I mean read analog. I feel the paper, incorporate all of your senses into the book, and have that tactile approach. When we take in data that way, that is one way for our brains and our nervous system to create new neural pathways. The other thing that I did is I tapped into my Facebook tribe, and I would gamify it, and I would go up on Facebook randomly and say, hey, somebody asked me a yes or no question. And people would pop up the most ridiculous, silly questions, and it would get kind of convoluted, because I wasn't able to say yes, so it would be, well, I don't not want to, unlike your, it would just kind of get convoluted here and there. But it was really fun, because everybody knew that I was practicing, and so sometimes people would even just pop in and ask me random yes or no questions just to help me practice. And that is really, really helpful when you are trying to change any kind of a behavior. The other thing is to listen to audio. I recommend NLP, I recommend audiobooks, I recommend hypnosis, I recommend lectures on the topic. I also set up reminders. So the interesting part about that, again, is it works with your subconscious. So if my reminder is set on my calendar, even if I'm in a meeting and I see the reminder go off, just looking at it goes bing, and there's a reminder, a phrase, a something about how to say no. Then what happens is my subconscious, without even paying attention, just looking at it real quickly, it still gets into my subconscious, and it helps reprogram your brain for that. The other thing is to watch videos about how to say no. The other thing is putting a pen to paper. Remember, I said incorporating as many senses as possible into a learning process will help us synthesize the data in multiple different ways. So our corpus callosum creates those interconnected signals, and then what happens is it locks it in a little bit more, and remember, it deepens the groove the more we stimulate that neural pathway. So putting a pen to paper is helpful. We teach best what we need to learn. I teach a presentation on learning how to say no without being a jerk. I still get hung up on this stuff, but it helps me every single time I talk about it. Every single time somebody comes up to me and says, hey, Christina, so how do you say no? So I tried this and it didn't work. What do you suggest? When I make suggestions and when I teach others what I've learned and share my experiences, it again helps cement and lock that behavior in. And the last thing is to role play. The last suggestion I have is to role play with people and role play scenarios. It's the same thing as essentially being on Facebook, where I would pop in and go, quick, somebody ask me a yes or no question, only, you know, we're face to face. And I would say, hey, ask me a yes or no question. And then we just spin around in circles a little bit and get a little convoluted and silly with it. But it brings my intention to, hey, I'm intending to change this behavior. I'm working on it. This is the language that I'm using. These are the tools that are available. And these are the scenarios and the potential scenarios that might come up that I can practice. So here are some phrases that really, really helped me in changing my behavior and learning how to say no without being a jerk. So one of the things was, oh, thanks so much for thinking of me. Unfortunately, I've got another commitment, and I'm copying Jane Doe on this email, who's an expert on this subject. She's more than qualified to speak at your event. So this was one way that I was able to say no without being a jerk, right? It's kind of like a soft letdown, but I'm still not saying no, really, but I'm saying no, really. Here's another one. I'm not the best person to help out with this. There's probably someone more appropriate to ask. There's probably someone more appropriate to ask has been a really helpful tool to have in my back pocket when people ask me about things and I know I'm already overextended, or, you know, maybe it's true. Maybe in my tribe, I know somebody who is a better expert than I am, and that's okay. I don't have to always be the one to swoop in and save the day. I don't always have to be the one who is answering the questions and taking on the responsibility just so I can please somebody. This is a really good one for me that I've used often. Here's one that I've used. If it were any other day or time, I'd do it, but unfortunately, I have another commitment. This one is probably the one that I use the most. It just doesn't work for my calendar. See, it's my calendar's fault. I'm sorry, talk to my calendar. This is great. I like this one because it doesn't have I or you in it. It doesn't have that blame in it. It doesn't have a judgment in it. It's just, it doesn't work for my calendar. Sorry, go talk to my calendar. The other one is, this doesn't meet my needs for now, but I'll keep you in mind for future reference. This is the one I use most on LinkedIn. Who gets those LinkedIn messages, right? I get so many LinkedIn messages all the time. Somebody trying to say, hey, thanks for connecting. Now here are 14 paragraphs and a book about why you need to buy my stuff. Thanks, this doesn't meet my needs right now, but I'll keep you in mind for future reference. Here's another one. No, unfortunately, it looks like it won't work for me. This one I started using after I got a little more comfortable, because notice here that it actually does say the word no. Ooh, it's a little scary for us overcommitters. And it also says, doesn't work for me. Uh-oh, it's not my calendar's fault this time. This time, it's my fault. And so this one, as I got a little more brave, I started to use this one. Here's one. Thank you for thinking of me. Unfortunately, my calendar is full at the moment. What does the first week of next month look like for you? And that way I'm not saying, no, I don't want to do it. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm saying, hey, there's another option. I'm willing to talk to you. Okay, we could still do this. Here's one that I really like. I just don't feel like I could give you my full time and attention. And I really want to do a good job. Remember, we talked about mediocre work. We talked about mistakes. We talked about bulldozing other people and needing to slow down. This helps bring awareness to that. This phrase is a good one for that. Thanks for asking me, but I'm already committed to something that day. Thanks, but no thanks. I like this one because I can blame my co-founder over at the Fierce Women Project. I promised my business partner that I wouldn't take on any more projects. This is helpful when you work in teams or you have somebody else. I would, but it's go talk to this person. And guess what? This person has no problem saying no whatsoever. So I'm going to send you over here. I'm going to let this person say no for me. Here's one. I can't do that, but let me tell you what I can commit to. I can't do this, but I can do this. I used to use this for my nonprofit when I ran Girls in Tech Las Vegas, and people were always asking us, can you do this, can you do this? And I would say, well, I can't really do that, but I can share it. I can send out an email. I can put it on social media. Those things I can do. And, if this person still pushes, if you've tried all of my brilliant phrases, because, listen, they work, all right? If they still push, then I'm here to tell you that you're dealing with a jerk, and you have complete permission to just turn on your heel and bounce. Walk away, remove yourself from the situation, because you're dealing with a jerk, and they're not going to respond to anything you say at that point, right? And I have to caution you. I do have to caution you. You have to remember that if you do say, oh, please keep me in mind for next time, or what do you have for next month, make sure that you follow through, okay? Don't just do it in this passive-aggressive way just to get rid of the person in front of you, because people would much rather prefer that you're honest with them and upfront and authentic instead of being passive-aggressive, right? And I have one more word of caution. Beware the reluctant no, okay? Because, remember asking yourself the question, what would it take for this to be an emphatic yes, right? Because a reluctant no is still a yes, okay? It's still a yes. But, if it's not, I just don't want to deal with any of that stuff anymore. It has to be yes. I'm excited about this project. I have time, I have room, I have resources. Let's get into it, right? That's what I want to work on. And I really want to make sure that my work is expressing that and that my passion comes through in everything that I do. So, at the end of the day, no is a complete sentence, ladies and gentlemen. No is a complete sentence. And so if you use these techniques and these strategies, it'll help you gain more control over your schedule. It will help you to not overcommit as much. It's really removed a lot of frustrations for me. I sleep better at night. I don't have migraines anymore, right? I don't suffer from burnout. I have those 10 days every quarter back in my calendar. And if we really look deeper into the why we are doing something, then we can understand what our motivation is. We can stay focused on the projects that we're doing and do our best work and live our best life. It can help us create healthy boundaries, and we can get better results in our work and in our relationships. And you don't have to be a jerk about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, just a minute, just a minute. I do hope you're not going to say no to this.
No, I love gifts. Thank you.
Right. Now that was something that we all needed. Take this home with you.
Thank you.
It's the gift that will continue to grow.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, would you like to take a question?
Sure.
Anybody got a question for Christina?
Well done.
Actually, Christine, I just want to pop. I read about a year ago, a book by Shonda Rhimes, the writer of Grey's Anatomy, and she did the absolute opposite. She wrote a book, The Year of Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because she said no to everything, and how that swapped her life around. So I've been listening to what you had to say, bouncing that off against a completely opposite view.
Yeah.
Right, okay, but this... So, hands up. Come on. Now, I'm going to go because you've already...
Yes, hello. I think that what you are saying is actually very, very important because most of us have the problem of saying no. So you had some really nice tips, and I would like to ask you, I think that the biggest problem of the most people saying no is that they are afraid that they will come up with the last version, which is like the jerk is actually not backing up. So my question would be, according to your experience from your personal life and your professional life and everything, how often do you actually end up with the last option?
Well, what happens is you don't want to be a jerk, so you say yes. But then I was saying yes to everything and overcommitting, and then I would say no at the last minute anyway. I would still end up saying no at the last minute. And whenever I said yes, I kept asking myself, why am I saying yes? And if it came down to, well, I don't want to be a jerk, the answer then, the argument within my head that happens is, well, I know if I say yes, I'm overcommitting. And at the last minute, I'm still going to say no, and I'm still going to be that flake friend. And I don't want to be the flake friend. So the conversation had to happen, and now I just do the math right on the spot when that conversation happens. When it comes up and I think, oh, I don't want to be a jerk, so I'm going to say, yeah, oh, don't do it, because I'm going to overcommit, and I'm still going to end up saying no and flaking anyway at the last minute. And I do not want to be the flake friend. And so that's what it looks like for me whenever that situation comes up these days. And I really try to do the math right on the spot and know that, hey, you know what? Even if I say yes, I know I'm overcommitting. You know you're overcommitting and that your plate is full when you're saying yes. And I have to be doing it for the right reasons. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Here's a question.
I hope you will forgive me for being a jerk, because that's actually what I want to be now. I'm more like a devil's advocate.
Yes.
With all due respect, I think you are in the wrong country.
Yes.
And I'm speaking about that because this country has gone through a lot the last couple of years. And what I missed in your slides is another acronym, is the FOGF, that is fear of getting fired. Of a pretty bad boss, in fact. And you are actually standing at a live example of a person who left this country exactly because of a really bad boss. What do you tell to those people in here in this room how to treat when it's not you who is the jerk, but it's your bad boss who is really the jerk, who is offering you, who is forcing you to do overtime, who is not paying you your overtime, who is not allowing you to take a day off, who is forcing you to work on weekends by the lame excuse that, look, there are 10 people waiting behind that door.
Yeah.
What do you say to those people?
I had this conversation last night over drinks, so I'm glad that you asked, jerk. I appreciate your question. Thank you. So, you know, the thing is that a lot of times when that happens, we feel stifled. We feel stuck. We feel like we don't have our power. We aren't able to cultivate our passions. And so what I talk to about that is that I encourage people to have something that they are passionate about, that they are building, that they are creating, whether it's a community that they're tapping into for a user group, because at the end of the day, we have to look at what our core values are. If our top core value is security, then obviously we're going to sacrifice other things for that. And if that means I have to put up with a jerk boss, that's just how it is. The solution then is to make sure that you have things in your life that are lighting up your soul. For some people, that's children. For some people, it's just hanging out watching children play. For some people, it is video games. For some people, it's their side hustle. And for some people, it's volunteering or mentoring or giving back. And you know, we have time for that, even if it's one day out of the month and you're so overworked and you're so frazzled and you're so tired, you can still make sure that you have certain moments that light you up, that are nourishing your soul. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. You can play devil's advocate with me anytime. Thank you, everybody. I am here for the rest of the conference and also for a couple days after. So if anybody wants to connect with me, please get in touch with me. Thank you.